Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 6 of One Piece LA. We are on the Baratier arc, and last time we left off with the battle with Mihawk. We've met Sanji, we've just kind of been reintroduced to this after seeing it in the anime and everything. And there's been a lot that's been changed. Don Krieg is not part of the arc per se. He was briefly shown being bodied by Mihawk. But Gin was still there. It's a very different take. Like I've talked about before, things are going very differently for this. But there's nothing inherently wrong with that. As I've said, it's not bad, it's just different. And a lot of these differences have been better in a lot of cases. So now we just got to see how this part of the story closes out. And after that, we go to Arlong Park. Now the big thing is, how is Nami going to end up getting there? Because normally she would have left by this point already and taken the ship with her. But here, she's not doing that so far. She decided to stay behind, so I don't know exactly what's going to be happening. But it's going to be interesting to see for sure. So we're just going to get into this and hope for the best. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I kind of would love to have been in the writer's room and just kind of heard and everything, all of their thoughts on why they made each specific change they did. Obviously, I know changes had to be made just to make this live action, of course. But like specific story changes, I would have liked to hear on why they chose to do things differently. I can understand why they brought in Arlong a lot earlier to set him up as the big bad, since with a live action show you don't really have arcs per se. So they wanted to set him up earlier in order to make the final confrontation, since that's the end of the season, be a much bigger deal. I understand that. But having him replace Don Krieg as the main villain at the end of Baratier is a really interesting choice. And I'm just kind of like wondering why exactly they decide to take Krieg out altogether and have him be killed by Mihawk ahead of time. I wonder if it's just due to the fact that Krieg is not a very well-liked villain by most fans. Like, most people kind of agree that he's very one note and not all that interesting or fun to watch, especially compared with other villains. So that's probably, I would think, why, but I mean, I would just like to know more, you know? Because it's a pretty big change. I mean, you're replacing one of the main villains of the East Blue Saga with another. And this means that Arlong is the main villain of two separate arcs of content here. The Baratier and Arlong Park. And you could say he kind of shares that spotlight in Baratier with Mihawk, but Mihawk was never a villain per se. So I don't really count him for this. Because he's an antagonist, but never comes across as like a villain for the arc. He's just like, oh, I'm just here doing my thing. So, yeah. We also got we also got some more stuff with Garp and deciding to go harder than ever in the hunt for Luffy. So that's fun. Went against what Kobe was expecting and hoping, but yeah, not really surprised. I'm not. Um, and we even got the reintroduction of Buggy, whose ear had been in Luffy's hat this entire time, going with the entire "I have eyes and ears everywhere." And the fun thing is, it never showed that side of his head ever since that point. Ever since he was defeated and, showed back up when Arlong confronted him and up to now, it never showed that side of his head before. So we never knew that that ear was missing, but his line that he repeated multiple times throughout the series so far, "I have eyes and ears everywhere," hinted at that. Hinted at the fact that since we're not seeing that side of his head, that ear is probably missing. And I think that's actually really good writing and really good direction to have that specifically not shown. I think that was well done. Um, Now, there were some things that I felt were a little rushed here, but that's just going to happen because of this being a live action series and not having as many episodes to work with. The most notable thing, of course, is Sanji's goodbye is very rushed. It's basically he and Zeph have a little argument and discussion, and Zeph kind of like pushes him to leave, and then he leaves, and there's a little goodbye, and that's it. Obviously, in the manga and anime, it's more stretched out. There's a lot more to it. Sanji has an argument and a fight with basically the entirety of the Baratier's staff, who all insult his cooking, but in reality, they love it. um, and it's their way of trying to push him out. And then the goodbye between Zeph and Sanji in the manga and anime is much more emotional. And again, not that it was bad here. It was still very good. It was still emotional, but just not as much. Um, and again, I understand that they have to cut things down because of the episode and time limit. It's this isn't the anime that has currently 1075 episodes, or the manga that has like more than that in chapters. They have 8 episodes to work with this season, and are trying to portray the East Blue for the most part. So it's like you're going to have to skip past things, and that happened in multiple arcs. I think the only arc that really didn't feel too rushed, honestly, was Shell's Town, or the Romance Dawn arc. That was the only one that didn't feel too rushed. All the others did. And again, I know why. I understand why. But it's undeniable that they feel a little rushed. There was a lot that was skipped in Syrup Village. There were characters that were cut out. A lot of Usopp's bravery was cut out, unfortunately. And while it didn't ruin the episodes, while it didn't ruin the show or anything, it's noticeable. And that was always going to be the case. But we also have to view this as its own thing, not as just... we have to view this as being separate from the anime. If we try to connect it too much to the anime, yeah, we're going to notice a lot of issues. We're going to put together a lot of things that are missing. But that's not how you should view an adaptation like this. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong in pretty much any adaptation. Whether it's a video game adaptation, an anime adaptation, an adaptation of a book, is that people do too much comparison. And to some degree, you need to have comparison, because it is adapting something else. It is adapting from a source, so you have to have some comparison. You have to have it, connect in some way to where it feels like it's capturing the magic of the source material. But that doesn't mean it has to be exactly the same. That doesn't mean it has to be one to one. And in fact, a one to one adaptation is pretty much impossible for a lot of properties. One Piece, especially. A one to one adaptation could not work in live action because there's certain things about it, certain aspects that just would not work well. That would not that would not be able to be done without looking absolutely stupid. Like, obviously some stuff in this is looking goofy. But there's a difference between looking goofy and hurting the overall product. And there are some things in this that would definitely hurt the overall product if you try to do a one-to-one. So there's got to be changes. And even Oda admitted this. He even admitted prior to this series release that there were going to be changes, that there had to be due to the medium, and that in the end, we still know he approved everything. So it's kind of funny when I see articles, like fake news articles lying that like Oda's disappointed with how many changes were made. It's like, no, he literally approved everything. The show literally could not have like aired if he didn't. That they directly said that. Um and other people called out that article too. That was just one example that I've seen. Um and it's like it's weird to see that stuff because it's like it's just fans complaining that things were cut out or switched around or whatnot. When in reality, it's not that big a deal. And again, it's going to be different. And the funny thing is, despite some people's complaints, despite the fact that there are a small amount of people complaining, the vast majority of people have loved this. It's done exceptionally well. Like, it's one of the most popular Netflix releases ever, I think. Like, the amount of, like, number one spots in different countries that it got, for example, it's just unbelievably popular. It's done so goddamn well. Not just in viewership, but in reception. And that kind of shows where the main consensus is. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, popular consensus does not equal quality. Quality is subjective, and it's up to a person-by-person basis. Things can be universally loved, and plenty of people can still find it bad. Or even vice versa. Things can be universally hated, and plenty of people can find it good. I, for one, like the Justice League movie, and Batman v Superman, and the 2016 Suicide Squad. Those are pretty universally looked down on, but I love them. So, yeah, that just proves that right there. And there are like anime that are universally loved that I can't stand, like Code Geass. And it's all subjective. If you like the stuff I don't, that's great. If you dislike the stuff I love, that's great. You're entitled to that opinion. You have every right to that. Even if I don't personally agree. I don't have to agree with your opinion. You don't have to agree with mine. But it's still good to see, obviously, your opinion kind of validated. Like, it feels good. It just does. So, when you see, like, a series that you're really enjoying that's actually doing well, it excites you. It's like, yeah, I love seeing the fact that the One Piece series, One Piece LA, is doing as great as it is. Because I'm loving the shit out of it. It makes me feel validated. And if for anyone who doesn't like it, that's also perfectly fine. I'm completely okay with that. But apparently, I don't remember if it was the director or showrunner or someone. Someone had recently said that they were hoping for at least 6 seasons. That they already had plans like in the works that could go up to that. This was just recently, like past few days, I think. Um, and as long as Netflix keeps renewing it, which if it keeps going this strong, they definitely will. That's a good sign because that means we could get up to like Water 7 and Enie's Lobby and shit. And that could be really good for obvious reasons. Um, but I'm just excited to see more. And I know that we have to wait still because of the strikes going on. They said that they'll probably be ready to release a season 2 about, what was it, 12 to 18 months, I believe, after the strikes end. Um, so as long as, these companies stop being greedy shits and pay their actors and writers fairly, we should be able to get to that. And season 2 is going to have a lot of great stuff in it. It just would, based on where we're at in the series. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how Arlong Park ends this season off. I have a lot of great faith in it based on everything we've got. Again, it's going to be different. There's going to be some changes, but I'm very confident that it's still going to be fantastic and that it's still going to capture the spirit of the arc really well. And I know it's in there. I can't wait for the hat scene. Like that scene will probably break me because it breaks me every time I watch it in the anime. It'll probably break me again. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of One Piece LA. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.